If you either knew my friend Brad Lavelle or my mom, this might be of interest to you. Otherwise, I'm not really sure. My friend Brad died at the age of 48 in 2007, but we were really close. And strangely, I have discovered that I have a tape of my mom interviewing Brad from 1982 because my mom, being an art dealer and somebody who put on art shows at hotels, had an interview show on Cable 10 in Mississauga. And she would interview artists. But my mom had a bit of a crush on Brad, I think. And so she decided to interview Brad. And he said yes, because he was in town. He was living in London at the time. I have the interview and I'm going to share it in a moment. This is what a recording tape from 1982 looks like. But before that, here's a little bit about Brad and me. So we became friends in high school. I was 2 years older than him. And when high school ended, I went to Ryerson for radio and television arts. And the next year, Brad came to Ryerson for the theater program. And we lived together in Cabbagetown, and hilarity ensued. We'd go dancing, a whole whack of us, gay clubs and stuff. That's where you'd have to go dancing in the late 70s. We also had a radio show that we did because I was music director at the campus radio station, and we had this late night thing. We'd play like early Ultravox and the Bonzo Dog Band. We also had a band of sorts called Fence Posts Don't Belong Here Anymore Because Disco Rubber Towels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It was a very, very long name just for kicks. We thought it was hilarious. One of the things we wrote went like this. In a spaceship, in a space shop, in a spaceship, in a space shop, in a spaceship, in a space shop, in a spaceship, in a space shop. Anyways, Brad went on to London. He went to the Bristol Theatre School. He met his wife, Meg, also a fabulous actor. They had a great life together. Brad became sort of a key voiceover artist. He was the voice of America, as far as I understand it, on sort of like Stallone films, the trailers and what have you. So he did very, very well. Then Brad came back to Toronto years later. We'd all kind of like fractured and lost touch, but in the early-ish days of Skype, Brad was right into it. And he came to Canada and visited all his friends from high school and got everybody convinced that they should all connect on Skype. And there was a big plan for a Skype phone call. And it was this weird thing where he came and said hi to everybody. And then he went back to London, had a physical with a doctor. They said he was in great shape. And he promptly dropped dead of a heart attack after he came out of a movie in Piccadilly Square. Boom. So it's been almost 20 years, I guess 18 years now. I think of Brad a lot. I can't believe I have this recording. I can't believe my mom is in the recording. It's super sweet. This is just before Brad was about to have a big break in his career. I don't know that it happened quite the way that he'd hoped at the time. From 1982, here's an almost 30-minute long interview between Brad Lavelle and my mother. Enjoy.
Good day. I'm Anne Proulx. This is my first program of the new season of Art News and Views, and I'm very honored and pleased to welcome as my first guest Bradley Lavelle of London, England, former resident of Mississauga, went to school in Mississauga, and now you're living in London, or do you still call this home?
Well, both places are home. I come here, my friends are still here that I used to go to school with. We meet up and have a wonderful time. When I go back to London, I meet with the friends that I've made there. There's no real difference between the two places. It's just one side of the puddle and the other is the other side.
Well, your parents are living in Mississauga.
Yeah, Mum and Dad are here. And well, families are good things. You know, it's nice to visit them. It's nice to come and spend a while. And I had a couple of weeks to play with between a job that was supposed to be starting 4 weeks ago that's now been postponed to be starting in 2 weeks, and so I thought, well, I'll come to Canada for a couple of weeks. Did so, found out about the postponement, and it's now 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then I'll be going back to England. So a nice long holiday.
Yeah, so
Really
back
good.
to work.
Yeah. Yeah, back to the grind, back to winding myself up
What
again.
exactly are you going back to, Brad?
Well,
You say work.
knock
What
on
work
wood,
is this?
it's a film. We've I hope it happens. I really hope it happens. I've been waiting to do it since June 21st, and the first thing that happened was the director had appendicitis, so it was postponed for 4 weeks.
Was it a movie?
It's a film, yeah.
Oh, a film.
Film.
Ah.
And it's a big film, and it's lots of money, and it's going to be distributed worldwide. And
What sort of part do you have in it?
I've got the lead.
The lead?
Yeah.
Oh, is it a
It's a
drama? Or?
No, it's science fantasy kind of thing. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek, though. It's sort of the parallel, I guess. The tongue-in-cheek parallel is quite similar to the early James Bond, the way that Sean Connery played Bond, as compared to the way Roger Moore did it. And the thing of
With a bit of comedy in
a
it?
bit of comedy, he always seemed to be taking a little bit of a poke of fun at himself every time he said anything. You know, he never quite took himself seriously. And that's how this is. It's as if Raiders of the Lost Ark was made and Harrison Ford never actually thought seriously about anything that he was doing. And he always just had that tongue just in his cheek. It's that kind of film. But we were supposed to do it the 21st. Postponement for the director's appendicitis bout. Then the insurance people came in and said, we can't go ahead with the film until they've checked out the medical side on the director, which was another 4 weeks.
Well, where are you filming?
Zimbabwe.
Oh, not in London.
No, this is going to be in Zimbabwe.
Have you ever been there?
Nope.
Oh, isn't that
Nope.
great?
Very exciting. We're also filming Peru, Sri Lanka, Egypt, Greece, India, Mexico, Britain, Easter Island.
Easter Island
Yeah.
should be most...
And all of the places that we'll be visiting will be quite obscure. Like when we're filming in Peru, we will be filming in an ancient Inca village in the mountains. So no hotels or anything like that. I think we'll all be pitched in tents. But because we're filming most of it in Zimbabwe, that therefore dictates another problem. Because of all of the terrorist rubbish that's going on down there.
Well, it isn't really... No, come on. It's serious.
I know, it's serious.
But your life is in danger, you mean, if you go.
Yeah, it's stopping me from going as well. But the insurance companies have now said, no, new policy. We're not going to let you go forward on the old policy.
Well, are these Americans that are filming this, or Canadians, or British?
It's British company, German company, American company, and Zimbabwe company.
I see.
A lot of the money is coming from Zimbabwe because it's being filmed there, of course. I think there's a nice tax break that's probably being worked there as well.
That's what I was... A MERB, eh?
Yeah.
It's being sold as a MERB.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And,
We've bought into one of those.
We're not going to talk too much about that kind of thing.
No, it's
don't want to get anybody
done
in
in
trouble.
Canada
You know?
too.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
It's the only way to get money.
Wheeling
for
and
movies.
dealing all
yes,
the time.
They have to get the money.
But so because of the political situation and the terrorist situation down there, the insurance company postponed the film twice. And now they've got the insurance together. The director is fine. Knock on wood. Everybody else is fine. And it looks like we're going to do it October 4th start.
Where would you start?
We'll start Zimbabwe, shoot there for a minimum of 13 weeks. And then we have a month's break. And then I pick up with the camera crew and the director. And we start Peru and work our way all the way across.
Have you had all your shots?
No, I didn't want to have them because I wasn't sure what was happening. When I go back to England, when I got the contract,
you should have had them while you were at home because you might not feel so good. You know?
No malaria. No, can't have it. But so I'm waiting on the gods and the stars at the moment to give me that little break. I just hope it happens.
So is this the first opportunity you've had of getting a lead, the offer of a lead? Let me put it that way.
Of that caliber, yeah.
Yes. You had the lead before?
Well, I've played some neat things, some good parts in certain things. There's
in the theatre.
In the theatre, yeah.
But you haven't had a lead in a movie before, have you?
No. I had a really nice part in a television series that sort of nosedived in England.
What was that about?
It was called World's End, and there's an area of Chelsea called World's End. Well, most of Chelsea is called World's End. And you have some rather bizarre characters that hang out in Chelsea. I played a Californian sort of dope addict who I think he was described as the only things that he really enjoyed in life were drugs, drink, dames, and dogs, and not necessarily in that order.
And they thought you looked the part?
Well,
They made you look the part.
they and me and the director, we all worked at it, and it came out. It wasn't sort of this wholesome face you see now. You know, it was a bit down market. I put on a little bit of weight for it. Well, I put on a lot of weight for it.
Do you have trouble putting on weights for roles? I remember reading about Shelley Winters, the way she is asked to put on 50 pounds, for instance, for Poseidon. She put it on deliberately. Then, of course, you have a problem taking it off, as we all do.
I never have a problem putting on weight. I mean, no. I love food, you know, so I eat and I put on weight. The problem is taking it off.
Yes.
And I have been working on taking off the weight that I put on.
You're just right now.
A little more to go. Just
Really?
a little more to go. There's a little spare tire down here that I've got to get rid of, but it'll be gone. The way I'm working at the moment, it's going to be gone.
Yeah. Well,
Too much.
do you exercise, or you jog? Or?
I don't eat very much. I don't have any sugars. I don't have any carbohydrates.
You're constantly hungry?
I'm constantly hungry. You know, I'm starving. I'm really wanting things like spaghetti, and I can't have spaghetti, and I can't have cheese
You like
or potato
pasta?
chips. Oh yeah, give me starch. You know, I love that sort of thing. But I can't have any of that, and so I'm eating things like
Celery?
no, I'm eating celery. I'm eating steak, but steak doesn't interest me in the least at the moment. You know, spaghetti interests me right now. So I've got this dreadful diet going on, and I'm also lifting weights, and I'm running 3 miles a day, and I'm swimming sort of as much as I can possibly swim in the day, and I'm exhausted, and all I'm eating is protein.
Are you losing weight?
Oh,
Yeah, you are?
I'm certainly losing weight.
At least that
Yeah.
is accomplished, isn't it? Brad, you went to school here in Mississauga.
Yeah, Lorne Park High School.
Yes.
Yeah.
And after graduating from high school, where did you study? You took drama after.
Yeah, I did a little bit of drama in high school itself, but I wouldn't really consider it to be any kind of recognizable course.
But I noticed, though, here you got a Canada Works grant. What was that all about?
Well, there's something, I don't know whether the government still does it, but every summer the government has so much money allotted to be given away to groups, youth groups who are still in high school. And myself and 4 others the first year, and then 5 others the second year, got together, wrote up what we considered to be a necessary form of entertainment for kids in the area. And that was to have a touring children's theatre company that would play the Mississauga Parks and Recreation day camps, summer school.
And you performed on our station here, I
Yes,
understand from this too.
A couple of 3 or 4 years ago,
Yes.
yeah.
It was called, what was it called?
The Wizard of the Wood.
Wizard of the Wood?
Yeah.
Children's Theatre?
Yeah.
Cable 10? What year was that?
77,
Really?
I would think it would have been 77. There was a
Very
neat little
interesting.
story about a wizard who was stopping various people from ruining his forest, sort of the pollution theme.
But did you produce this, or did you do acting as well?
Oh, we would write.
did the whole
we
thing?
would write, produce, direct, design, everything, and we did it on a very minimal budget. We did it for 2 years running, and had a great time, and played for some lovely kids. And I think we learnt not too much about theatre, let's say, but I think we learnt an awful lot about people. And I think kids are the greatest thing to learn from, because they're so alive and so sparky, and they haven't got any of the hang-ups that we've got. You know.
Well, you were artistic director of this group?
In name only. I would not ever put myself above anybody else in the group,
Oh, I
because it was a conglomerate, and everybody was as creative as everybody else. But I was the one that was on paper as being artistic director, so that's why
Then
it's on my resume.
from this you went to Ryerson? What did you do there?
Studied theatre for 1 year and took an English as well. The only problem was that the school wasn't right for me. It's a Stanislavski emotional breakdown, destroy yourself and put yourself back together course, to teach you, instead of the technique of acting, how to act. And I think and I feel that deep down inside any human being has the capability of feeling. Nobody can teach you to do that, because if they do, it becomes an intellectual thing, and it's no longer the emotional.
Well, it's the same as being a painter. You may
Sure.
learn to paint, but it doesn't make you
It's not going to make you a
an
painter,
artist.
it's not going to make you an actor.
That's right.
And
Then
I mean,
from
to
there-
teach somebody to cry, you know, so
Well,
what?
that's how come you applied to go to Bristol
Yeah.
Theatre?
I got very frustrated with the course, and I decided...
What is it called? The Bristol...
Bristol Old Vic Theatre School.
Old Vic Theatre School.
Yeah.
Is that the same Old Vic theatre as we hear in the news these days, is being refurbished?
The Old Vic in London used to have a theatre school that worked with it, which transferred to Bristol. And
but so it was the associated.
Yes, but the school no longer exists in London. It is now just the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School.
And how long were you there?
I was there for 2 years.
Yes.
I was going to go for 3, but opportunity knocked, and I decided to leave after 2 years.
You had this opportunity to go into film.
Yeah.
That's well. Why not? Eh?
Well, there were a couple. I walked out of school after the second year, and I walked right into a job. So I thought, now is the time to try it. And rather than actually paying money to be in a company for my final year, I thought I might as well try and get paid money to be in a company. And well, I spent a little bit of time unemployed, but I think it was a good choice in the end. Yeah.
And did you actually perform in the Old Vic Theatre that is now that the Mervishes are refurbishing now? You have.
My first job.
A thrill?
It was really neat. I walked every inch of that stage. You know, I sort of take one step and I think, okay, Olivier was here.
What year were you in there?
That was what are we? 82, 80. 79, 80.
And it was still functioning as a theatre there.
It hadn't been closed down.
It's been closed now for what, a year or two? Almost,
well, after the fiasco of Macbeth, Peter O'Toole and Timothy West kind of destroyed any reputation that the theatre had. And they spent every bit of money, and they lost every bit of money. And it was a very sad thing to see it get closed, but we thought just as long as theatre comes back to it. And now that Mervish has got it, I respect that man greatly. He's a great entrepreneur. He's a wonderful producer.
He's a good businessman.
Very good, very good.
Tell me, now that you're into motion picture films, say, are you still planning to work in the theatre as an actor on the stage?
I'll take the job if somebody offers it to me.
But what do you prefer? Many actors do both, of course.
I think it goes from time to time. Right at the moment, I want to do this film. This is very important.
It's a new step.
It's a new step. I've got to do this. But
this is your first movie.
Well, it's my first large partner movie. I've done sort of one-day shoots and things before.
Oh yes, the other one you mentioned.
Yeah. But I want to get it out of the way. But then I want to go back to an audience because that immediate response is magical. There's nothing like it, I don't think. But then there are actors that will tell you, oh, I hate audiences. They're out there and they're coughing and their watches are bleeping every minute, and you know they just can't stand them. But I think my ego needs it.
Tell me, how do you feel about, for instance, if you were in a stage play, the critiques you may get? Does it worry you whether a critic's going to pan you, or if do you look at the papers the next day and worry about it overnight?
I read the papers, yes, but
have you ever had a mention in the?
I've never had a. Let's leave it at I've never had a bad mention. Okay?
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Good, very good.
But I've never worried about critics, and I will never worry about critics. Peter O'Toole once said something. He got a very, very bad review for, albeit a bad production of Macbeth. And he was hounded the next day by all of the television reporters, and it was, Mr. O'Toole, what do you have to say about all of these bad reviews? And he said, well, darlings, the play is going to be on tomorrow. However, those papers will be wrapped around fish and being handed over counters. And that's exactly, wonderful. I mean, the newspaper is going to go right out the window the next day. The show will keep running.
That's true, yes.
And it's an individual's response. That's what their critique is.
What type of plays have you performed in? I'm not referring to this movie now. I'm talking about stage plays. Were you in costume? Or
oh yeah, lots of Shakespeare, lots of Marlowe. The Bristol Old Vic Theatre School is a classical theatre school, so it was all Elizabethan, Jacobean, that sort of thing. There wasn't anything really modern done until your final year. And so it was all high period costume stuff with lots of flamboyant gestures and very, very stylized theatre, all the way from Chekhov to Midsummer Night's Dream to the Cherry Orchards of Chekhov. She Stoops to Conquer, the farcical side of it. We would just go through everything that was classic. And that's what we were taught.
What was the adding machine by Mr. Zero? I'm sorry to say, I don't know who or what that is.
The adding machine is a form of theatre that is very bizarre. You have a script that actually says quite a lot. However, it doesn't say anything about a character. It's an unstructured form. You have your dialogue there. You are not playing a real person. You are almost playing an android. You are doing a caricature. It's almost like without having the costume on, being a Muppet.
Really?
Yeah. And it was an exercise.
And that's where you played at performed at the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School. But this was in Bristol or at the Old Vic?
In Bristol.
And
yeah.
Which one were you in at the Old Vic?
That one was A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh, I see.
And it
was a thrill.
Oh, it was a stunning play as well. I haven't seen that play directed as good.
Well, by the sound of all the plays you've been in, I don't think you had to cope with censorship. Do you have such a thing in
well, we don't
London?
have it like it's here. You know, I mean,
No?
there is a censor board, certainly.
But are they as strict as they are here? Frankly, I approve what I see here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disapprove it because
Right.
I think it's necessary. It's getting to a point where it's necessary, and yet I'm not an old-fashioned person, as you know. I just feel that it's necessary because people will just not get good taste ahead of the performance. I think it's more important to have a tasteful performance. Even nudity has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
That's not tasteful.
It's
anything.
nothing to do with tasteful.
Yeah.
It's just that they accrued some other place.
Well, there was.
You don't have this.
We do. There's a lady by the name of Mary Whitehouse who exists in England who is sort of concerned for the viewer's sake. Now, but she'll take things to court. She'll pan things on purpose. She does anything to just get in the news, to be recognized.
Do you really feel that way?
Some of the things I don't feel that way about, but knowing what she stands for, I feel that way about her. We do have a censor board in England that I agree with. I think there are certain things that should be censored, yes. There was a play produced at the National Theatre in England by Peter Bogdanov, and it was called The Romans in Britain. Not a very good play, and in the second act there was a male rape scene. Two gladiators taking on this poor Celtic farmer. And it was very graphic. There was no actual penetration during the scene or anything, but she took Bogdanov to court. Now, in the flow of the play, I think that scene was necessary. That was the only time that sex was mentioned like that. But we all know what the Romans were like. We all know what went on in the gladiatorial stadiums. You know, we know all of that happened. And he was just making one statement with that image. And I think that's allowable. She doesn't.
Well, you know, I think it's all in the eye of the viewer, too. Now, I've seen Old Calcutta twice. Saw it when it first, yes. And I thought it was extremely funny.
Yeah.
Very funny.
It's kind of dated now,
it was
though.
like a series of dirty jokes, you know, which we've all listened to, and I think most people have. But you have to look at it this way. You can't look at it as a lewd performance, and you have to have a good sense of humor.
Exactly.
I think some people have no sense of humor. They're thinking of closing it down here.
Well, people just start taking
I
everything
saw it
so
twice
seriously.
because I wanted to see, and I'd like to see it again here to see if they've changed many things. There are a couple of seats, and I think they could have dropped because they're corny, rather than obscene.
I've got a neat little story about Old Calcutta. I was dying to get a job. I would sort of take anything. This was after the Dream had finished at the Old Vic, and I was new to the business. Nobody knew who the hell I was in England, and so I was just making the rounds of casting directors, and they were doing a musical version of Old Calcutta, and I arranged to see the people. I sang my song, I did my dance, and they called me back for the second read-through. And when I arrived for the second read-through, I was going up the staircase.
Where was this, in London?
This was in London. And
They had it in London too.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it in
But they
Los Angeles before they closed it, and then in New York, and now I'll see it here.
This was going to be for a touring show. And I was walking up the staircase to this audition, and I thought, I'm going to be singing a song, I'm going to be reading a part, and I'm going to be dancing in the nude. Do I really want to do this? And of course I arrived, and it was my turn to sing.
Well, how many years ago was this?
This was 2 years ago. And I got up, and I started singing my song, and all of a sudden it just hit me as very hysterical. And I just started giggling in the middle of the song, and sort of threw my hands around and said,
is like anyway.
you know, and I just said, oh, I can't take this seriously, forget about it. And they, of course, all broke into hysterics, and I just walked out giggling all the way home.
It is funny.
Lost myself a job. The producer will probably never ever speak to me again, but it was just something I couldn't go through with.
No, well, that's all right. We all have our preferences.
I wasn't that desperate.
No. Now, tell me, you say about British humor. Have you been in much? Do you understand British humor? I have problems going to a British play, and you know, listening to the jokes. I think I don't get the punchline half the time.
Well, it's a lot of like Canadian humor. It's very different. Colloquial, and if you've got to know the area. If it's a joke being made about Levesque, let's say, if you're from London and you're here and you see the show, you're not going to get it. But every Canadian will be roaring in the aisles, you know. And it's that same thing. And now that having lived in England for so long, yes, I'm up with the humor now. I catch it.
I see.
It's good stuff.
Now, Brad, I wanted to talk to you about whether or not you had ever. You said something about you sang a while ago. Did you have to study voice in order to become an actor?
Oh yeah. So you mean singing or vocal work?
Well, singing. Did you take voice lessons?
Yes, that was part of my training at the Old Vic School, and also part of my training
that as
at
part of your acting course.
Oh yeah,
how nice.
on all-rounded, because the actor is supposed to be, in today's theatre anyway, they should be capable of doing dance.
And you had to take dance too?
Yeah.
Ballet?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Well, that would have kept you nice and trim.
Well, I was great at drama school. I was in very good shape, and then I left and didn't do it anymore, you know.
Now, in any of the roles you've had, you've never had to dance or to sing?
I did some dancing and some singing in Midsummer Night's Dream. I was one of the fairies, and in the end of the play, there's a little dance number that the fairies do as they're putting the whole castle to sleep, and they sing a lovely tune as they dance around them, sort of sprinkling dewdrops and all of that sort of thing about. And that was the one number that I've ever done. I'm not, I don't think, what anybody can consider to be a musical performer. I think somebody would make a very big mistake if they employed me for that.
Mm-hmm. And this role you're going to be playing now, you said in this, you have the lead in this movie.
Head good guy, yeah.
Yes. What sort of character will you be? Are you going to have to do any acrobatics or anything like that?
Oh, I'm going to be doing some pretty weird things. Well, my name is Morgan, and I'm a native. I believe they want me to be a New Yorker. And
how could you with your accent? Have you learned many accents?
Well, that's part of the training as well. You know, you got to do that kind of thing if you got to do that kind of thing, you know, or whatever. This is just how I speak these days. But I can get back to that old Canadian thing, eh? You know?
Oh, Brad.
But no, this is just how the voice is resting at the moment. And I wouldn't really call it English, and I wouldn't really call it Canadian. It's somewhere mid-Atlantic.
Well, you've been there, what, 6 years, you say? Well, it's enough to acquire an accent.
Yeah.
I know I lived in Quebec province for many years, and my sister said to me, "Oh, come on, get off it." And I said, "What?" And she said, "The phony accent." I didn't know I had an accent. You know, you do acquire a way of speaking. It's more than an accent, I think. Now, I know that you are interested in the arts as well. Do you still go to art galleries and things while you're in?
When the time presents itself. I missed the Dali exhibition in London. I mean, he's just about my favorite. I like the surreal. That kind of stuff.
This is actually the poster that was just released recently to commemorate the inaugural season of the Roy Thompson Hall.
Yeah.
And you know who Lord Thompson of Fleet is. And he made it big in London. You know, with the newspaper empire, and you know, he got to be named a lord.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, like, for instance, Sir Laurence Olivier was an actor and performer on stage, and he became a sir. And I think Sir Bradley Lavelle sounds pretty good.
Don't say that. No,
well, I'll give you 30 years, Brad. You don't get it overnight.
Never. No, it just couldn't happen.
Do you intend to make your home in London, or do you plan to come back to Canada?
I plan to go where the work is, and at the moment it's in London. If anybody here wants to offer me a job, I'll take it. But I mean, I'd love to come and work at Stratford, the Shore Festival.
Starting.
You know, I'd love to work in town, but there's no point in me leaving where I'm getting a foundation.
You're making connections
Oh,
now.
lots. And if anybody here was to offer me something, I would certainly return to do it, and maybe spend a couple of weeks before and after looking for more work. But there would be no point in me dropping everything that I've been able to put together in the last 2 years to come here and start new. There'd just be no point in it at all. So please, if you got a job.
Oh, I'm sure though your folks would like to see you more often. Do they come over to see you in London?
We do an exchange. I'd come over 1 year and they come over another.
I see. Well, I want to thank you, Brad, for taking time from your busy schedule to come.
Thanks for having me
and I hope next time you're here, you'll give me a call, and perhaps we can review what your plans are for the future. I'm sure you have many friends in Mississauga who want to know what's happening.
I'll be in touch.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank
you. It's been a
you.
pleasure having you.
Oh, it's been good fun. Okay.
You're an ideal guest.
For the Ronno Report, I'm Ron Proulx. Peace out.